Well, good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve wishing you a very pleasant evening. And I came across this interesting article by CBC. It is from the Defense Department, and it's very cleverly worded, and it's actually quite a dangerous document. It's a very leading document, and as we go through I will explain what I mean. Long pandemic could add to extremism, decline in democracy, Defense Department report. Report lays out range of political, economic and security challenges that could emerge. Okay, and we jump right into it, right? And its very first sentence. And this is the assumption that all extremism is right-wing. A new research report by the Department of National Defense suggests the longer the CV outbreak rages, the stronger right-wing extremism and other threats in Canada and around the world are likely to become. Well, why just right-wing? And see, where this is dangerous is because, you see, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of businesses that have been put out of business. There are hundreds of thousands of employees. Now, a lot of these small businesses, this is just a sidebar to this article, but a lot of small businesses, employ entry-level workers or second jobs for, say, the wife of a family who are trying to raise their children, and it's a part-time or quasi-full-time income to help out with the household. So, you're really putting a lot of pressure. That little part-time job could be paying the mortgage, could be paying the food bill. Okay, so as people fall into desperation, the tendency is to want to protest. When people get hungry, well, they get angry. And of course, one of my little sayings is, nothing takes away your sense of humor like a money problem. Okay, so these people are going to want to protest. And of course, they're already pre-labeling them as right-wing extremists. Why not tell it as it is, that these are people who have reached the edge. They've reached the limit of their ability to withstand the stress and pressure that's being put on them, and their only recourse is to go out onto the street with pots and pans and have a protest. They are not right-wing extremists. Well, there may be some. I shouldn't say, I'm not going to give a carte blanche to that. There may be some left-wing extremism going on. Okay? But I can tell you the vast majority of these people are going to be regular, everyday folk. But they're tarring these people with this brush right now to put into your head that anybody who speaks up and speaks out about this situation is a right-wing extremist. Prepared by the Defense Department's research arm in October for NATO military alliance planners, the report lays out a range of political, economic and security challenges that could emerge, or become more prominent depending on how long the outbreak goes on. To that end, it looks at what may happen at best case scenario, which would see CV brought under control by the end of this year, as well as potential ramifications should the outbreak last past 2023, and as a worst case, 2025. Are you kidding me? They're planning out to 2023 and 2025? Jesus! The best case scenario would see effective inoculations rolled out quickly, which would not only kickstart a strong economic recovery, but also boost trust in the governments, international institutions and science that ended the pandemic. Yet even if that happens, reads the Defence Research and Development Canada report, we could expect that the adversarial states will remain those already identified as such prior to the outbreak, including China, Iran, North Korea and Russia. The same is true for right-wing extremism, which the report says is already on the rise around the world. There you go, fancy that. And is likely to continue to rise, particularly the longer CV remains out of control. Unbelievable. The federal Liberal government has identified the rise of right-wing extremism and hate as a major threat to Canada, while the Canadian Armed Forces has started working to weed such behaviour and ideology from its ranks. Oh, you're kidding me. So you're telling me that the Canadian Armed Forces is a bastion of right-wing extremism, such that you're working to weed such behaviour and ideology from your ranks? My goodness. My goodness. Or maybe you're just misidentifying as you are trying to label regular folk as right-wing extremists. Public trust in democracies at risk. No kidding. Public trust in governments, particularly in democracies such as Canada, will also likely suffer the longer the outbreak remains, according to the report, along with confidence in international organisations like the UN and NATO. The world will continue to experience conflict regardless of which future is closest to the events that transpire in the coming years, the report says. Clearly, conflict can be expected to be more prevalent and increasingly violent in a baseline, and more still in a worst case than in a best case type outcome. The international community's ability to respond to such conflicts, whether they are wars between countries or inside them, will similarly be negatively affected based on the state of the outbreak. The outbreak has acted to accelerate existing global trends, so it follows that the longer and more severely it plays out, the greater the impact will be on international security, the report says. Military planners will be wise to keep this metric in mind as they consider the challenges that their nations and the NATO alliance faces. Well, of course, as I said, when you put pressure on people, they are going to go on the street. But to label them as right-wing extremists is a very dangerous move because, we already have enough division between the two sides as it is, and you have people who are on the liberal side who seem to feel that they have some kind of moral high ground, and this is just giving them an excuse that could make them act out in violent ways against people who are just ordinary folk who are on the edge of survival. And I would hate to see that happen at protests. I would hate to see people who feel that they can take liberties because they're not in that position or they don't have enough empathy to understand. But this is very dangerous, and coming from the CBC, your national news broadcaster, like, what are these people doing to portray this in this fashion? Is absolutely disgraceful. And the same from the military planners from the Department of National Defense who wrote this up. How dare you label people? Just tell the truth, man. Just look at things. That's what we're all sick and tired of here. This is why government is losing its respect from the people. It's because you just can't damn well tell us the truth. And point out that people who are in dire straits will act out. Simple as that. And it's to be expected. And, who's causing this? Who is causing the lockdowns? The WHO has said lockdowns do not work and cause more damage than they do good. Anything that you use under emergency measures cannot be more harmful than the thing that you're trying to protect people against. I mean, this is absolute lunacy, and it is just another part of the incoherent, disorderly, inconsistent, conflicting information or lack of information that we are getting from the authorities. So if people stop trusting in you, you have only yourselves to blame. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this article, please like, comment and subscribe below. And in the meantime, this is Handlock Steve signing off, wishing you a very pleasant evening, and we'll talk very, very shortly. You take care now. Bye-bye.